All right, guys, welcome to the Ravit show. We know the guest for today. It's John Thompson. I've been waiting for him because very special. I've shared a project with him, and he has written a book for Pact that is building analytics teams. And we all know about the book. Most of us know about the book. Without wasting any more time, let's get him on and let's talk about the book. Also, before getting him on, I have a special giveaway in this session that the three best questions asked in the show would be getting an e-copy of his book. So ask some amazing questions and let's go. Hey John, welcome to
Hey
the Ravit
Ravit, how are
show. It's
you?
all good. It's an honor to have you, John, and thank you for being here. I was just talking about your book, Building Analytics Teams. It's like the talk of the town, and it's one of my favorite projects. I'll be biased about it, but we would want to know more about it. People want to know more about it. I've been, reached out by folks that John Thompson should be on the show. He should be sharing about, different stuff about analytics, teams, data science, AI, and all of those stuff. So I just wanted to ask you also about first thing, is it your first LinkedIn Live session, John?
Well, first and foremost, let me say it's my honor to be on your show, to be on the Ravit show.
Oh,
So thank you so much for inviting me. I really, when you were talking about having a show, I really wanted to be on the show. So it's my honor to be here. Thank you very much for inviting me. And thank you to everybody for attending. I think this is my sixth LinkedIn Live at this point. So we obviously did the Kate Strackney book announcement. We did Kate's Datacated conference and a few others.
right.
But, clearly anytime Kate asks me to do anything, the answer is yes. The answer is
Oh, yes, definitely. So we have who's joining in. There's Ayush. Hey, Ayush, how are you? All right. We have LinkedIn user. So the last time and the day before that, the show before that, I guess LinkedIn user was Kate. I'm wanting to know who's the LinkedIn user. But anyways, John, wanted to know about you, about just general introduction about you. Can you tell us something about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been involved in analytics for 37 years now, so quite some time. And I've gone from being a developer, someone who's building actual code and models to leading teams to, and I've worked on the vendor side too. So I've helped build some of the analytic products that we all use and know and like in the industry.
Okay, sounds good. We have many people joining in. There's Andrew Jones is here. Hi, with John coming in from London. Looking forward to the session. Welcome, Andrew. So it's always been, I've always been curious to know more about you in terms of analytics and teams because, John, it is, we know it's very much hand in hand, it goes hand in hand, but how did you actually, come up with something like to write a book about it, like building analytics teams? Why a book on it? What was the main reason behind it?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks for asking, Ravit. I'd written my first book in 2017, Analytics: How to Win with Intelligence, and that was for people, non-technical executives, so people who had to invest in teams, understand what teams could do, what analytics could do, what data could do, and that book did pretty well. It's still in the top 20 books in the analytics category on Amazon. And then after I wrote the book, I was thinking about, well, I'm going to write a book about AI and ethics. And that was really something I was very interested in. And I started about this time last year writing that book. So I'd written about 3 or 4 chapters and I was going along. Then I noticed there were so many really good books on AI and ethics. So I just stopped writing the book. And then I was thinking about it and I thought, I just don't really see any good books that talk about analytics teams. And that analytics teams are just so much different than any other team that I've ever managed. They're more creative, they're more, high powered, fast thinking. And I thought that's just something that people are not talking about. So I just sat down and started writing the book. because I was really motivated to help people understand, as Ravit, being in this industry now and seeing what's going on, there's a lot of conversation. Is AI worth it? Our analytics really delivering the results that it should be delivering? And I knew that there were some problems in the team management, in the team composition, and the way teams were being built. So I thought, I'm going to write a book about that. And then luckily, for you and me, Dominic Shake Shaft decided that it was a good idea. And then John Masiliak jumped on board, and you came onto the project. And now we've been collaborating for, 6 months, and it's been great.
Oh yes, it's going great, and we have, as we were just talking about it, that this is something what I have gone through the book. Obviously, I got the chance to read the book even before it was published. I was lucky enough to get through it, but I couldn't, stand back myself, and I was like, I need to order this book myself. Even if I can actually get it from pack, no, I need to order it myself because it has so much value in it. The recent post I shared about it was, everyone's different. Like that quote, it was so touching where, you're talking about everyone's different, but in a, in a good way. So that has to come out, and the book clearly speaks about it. So we have many people who have joined in. We'll just greet them. Okay. Hi, Stephanie. Nice seeing you. There's Swati Jain. Hi, Ravit. Hi, John. Hi, Swati. So I guess people have started asking questions as well. John, do you want to take a question?
Yeah, absolutely. That's part of the reason why we're here, is to answer questions. Absolutely. So the two main qualities in an analytics team must carry apart from being good at data skills. I think one of the main qualities that a great data scientist has and embodies all the time is curiosity, and the ability to be diligent and persistent in trying to understand different phenomena.
Right.
We've seen on LinkedIn, or at least I've seen on LinkedIn, some conversations that, if you memorize a few algorithms, you're going to be able to be a good data scientist. That's not really the way it works. Different problems require different approaches. So you really need to have at your core a curious nature. Because I work on all sorts of different problems. My wife asked me the other day how many industries I've worked in. So I sat down and wrote it down, and it was over 20. So I've been part of, 20 industries over my career. I've been part of deploying 60 different predictive applications in production. And it's all the way from what is the optimal flow of oil in a mayonnaise plant to what is the right flame shape in a coal-fired power plant. So, lots of different things, credit risk, patient identification. You can't really understand all those different problems unless you're just a very curious person.
Yeah, exactly. I think the data itself is such a huge word. I remember a recent post by Danima. He just said, why is it just data scientist? Why can't we call them data professional? Is actually the sexiest job of 21st century. And that's what hit me hard as well, that, yeah, actually anything that is related to data is that big now. So, and there's so much into it that you can't be, obviously, like you mentioned, you have to be that curious to know about it more. And that's when you will hit the right keys. But yeah, thinking about that, John, what I was wondering was, I wanted to ask you about, how did you actually start off your data journey? What was the start point? How did you, just take off in data?
It was a long time ago, obviously. And
Yes, okay.
I came out of college and I had a undergraduate degree in computer science. So I was writing programs in older languages, as you can imagine, assembler and COBOL and things like that. And I was building systems for a variety of different companies, but I really was drawn to the data, and I would talk to people about the value of data, and they would just look at me like, what are you talking about? It's just data. It doesn't make any difference. It's not really worth anything. It's just something that we have to have so our programs operate on. So I was just naturally drawn to it. And when the whole idea of data warehousing and business intelligence started to actually be a thing, I immediately quit my job and found a job in that industry because that's just what I wanted to do. It just always made sense
Wow.
to me that the data and analytics side of the world was just so much more interesting than the transactional side of the world.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's actually you just went after your passion, and there you are creating, such amazing books, such amazing teams, and the experiences which you've shared in the book as well. Actually, uh, justifies what you're talking about right now, because how you've got in makes a lot of sense. So, also, John, how would you, for people who are actually starting in, or the folks who are actually entering the data field, how would you advise them? What are the things they need to make sure that these are the things they should know about when they are getting into a data field?
Yeah, as I said, you just have to have a natural curiosity about things. That's number one, because you're going to
Right.
have people coming to you all the time asking you to look at their problems, and you don't know what they're going to be. They could be supply chain scheduling, they could be manufacturing optimization, they could be customer recommendations, customer identification, market share problems. And as a data scientist, there's very few people that can say, I only work on this kind of problem, or I am
Right.
only interested in statistical inference, or I only want to work on neural networks. That just doesn't work very well. If you're coming into the field, you really need to be open to the fact that you're going to have to solve lots and lots of different and difficult problems. So one of
True.
the things that I always recommend to many people, young and old, who want to become data scientists is to go to Kaggle, Kaggle, Kaggle.com. Most of us in this community know about it. You don't have to join competitions. You can actually get some projects and play around with sample data and try some algorithms and try some approaches. And if you really enjoy it, if you're drawn to it, and you like to do those kind of things, then you probably be a good data scientist. There are a number of people that come to me and they say, oh, well, this is the sexiest job in the 21st century and people are making all sorts of money and I want to be part of it. And I say, well, go try it, give it a go, see if you like it. Do you like to mess around with data? Do you like to integrate data? Do you like to come up and solve problems with data and apply mathematics to it? Well, if you do, you'd probably be a good data scientist. If you don't, you will be a really miserable data scientist. So I've had a number of people that have gone and tried it and come back to me and say,
Right.
oh yeah, that's not for me. I hate that stuff. It's like, okay, well then good. You don't probably want to be in the data field then.
Yeah, exactly. That passion should be there, I guess. That passion drives you to places in data field, and that is what is an example where you have set an example for folks where there was something which you were doing something completely different, but then turned out later that data was your thing, and that's when you quit the job and you get into data, and that's where you create your own good world into data. But then, yeah, great. So,
Yeah.
John, also what I was thinking was I wanted to know more. Actually, the folks out there want to know a little more about the book in terms of how helpful would it be for the starters. Would you advise what level of audience should actually have this book?
It's a great question, and I get it with fair regularity. So I'm glad you're bringing it up so we can talk about it in this forum. I wrote the book. The intention of writing the book was for people who are in large corporations who have been tasked with the job of creating an analytics function. So I
Right.
assumed that it was someone who's got a budget, who's got a mission, who needs to go hire people and connect with all the different parts of the organization. But what I found out was that the book is really useful for people who are undergraduate school, who are in graduate school, who haven't been part of data science teams or have maybe been part of one data science team. So I'm
Right.
finding that people who are going to join data science teams are reading the book because they want to know, what am I walking into? How can I be the best data scientist I can possibly be? What do I expect? What can I expect from my managers? What can I expect from the executives who are funding these organizations? So I wrote it for a very specific group of people, but it turns out it has broad applicability for a wide range of people who are young and those who are very experienced in their careers. The other principle that I wrote the book under was that it was a reference book. I didn't write the book that, you would read it and then you would never look at it again. I wrote it as you would put it on your shelf behind your desk. And then when you had a problem, like, why am I not able to connect with the vice president of finance? Or why can't I communicate with the chief financial officer the value of analytics? You can go get the book. You can open it up to, it's probably chapter 8 or 9. You can go in there and read about what is the dynamic between the power dynamic between these people and how the communication generally works best. And it, it was written as a how-to helpful book.
Yeah, exactly. John, that's the reason, when I read the book, I could connect myself. I'm a marketer out there. I'm a person who works in a team, obviously, who, this book is actually getting me to connect with people to understand as well what and how things work in different teams as well. So it's like a win-win for not just, I don't think it's limited to data folks. I have actually, found this so useful in terms of my daily job as well. So yeah, it's super cool. Also, John, I'd just like to let the audience know that the 3 best questions asking about, asking questions in the session would be announced maybe by end of the show, or after the show like ends and John can decide over it and all of those stuff. But ask some amazing questions to John about his book, about whatever questions you have in terms of data analytics, then data science, AI. John is here, you can ask. So John, we have a question coming in from Laura. So Laura says, okay, hello, thanks for the talk. One question I have is this: I am the first data scientist in my team, and my time is split between a bunch of different data things, data management, analytics, and some machine learning stuff. We are thinking of hiring more data people. How do you recommend building up a team pretty much from scratch? What are the kind of people to hire?
Great question, Laura. I'm really, that's a fabulous question. I'm impressed with it. So let me talk about that a bit. I talk about analytics teams being of two profiles, two ends of the spectrum. Either they're an artisanal team or they're a modular team. Laura, since you're a team of one, you're an artisanal data science team, if you knew it or not. And that's generally the type of teams I generally build. I start out with an artisanal team, because what you want to do is you want to hire a small number of people who are capable in data acquisition, data integration, feature engineering, modeling, working with subject matter experts, working with IT, working with executives. That's a very rare person, but you can find them. And you can hire 4 or 5 people to do that. And they all are self-contained units. They own their own projects. They do everything in those projects, which is what you're doing, Laura. Then, as time goes on and you have those 5, 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 artisanal team members, you can start to evolve towards a hybrid team or evolve towards a modular team. What is a modular team, you ask? A modular team is where you hire 3 or 4 people to do data acquisition, 3 or 4 people to do data integration, 3 or 4 people to do feature engineering, modeling, and so on. So in an artisanal team, you may have 10 people and they all do their own projects. They're responsible for everything in that project. Now in a modular team, you may have 30 people or 25 or 40 people doing the work. Same work between the 10 and the 30. And generally the artisanal team, even they have smaller number of people, but they cost the same as a modular team. Now you can also take it one step further, where you have the artisanal team, you have the modular team, and you have both. So you'll take the modular team and you'll say, okay, I'm going to have 10 people and they're going to do data acquisition, integration, and then deliver objects to the artisanal team that's going to do feature engineering and modeling. So I know that's a lot in a very short amount of time. So you have the artisanal structure, you have the modular structure, and in the end, you can evolve to a hybrid structure.
Amazing. I guess that was really helpful, because those team structures actually, I guess, is there everything mentioned in the book as well, John?
Yeah.
That you have mentioned about the book? Yeah.
Yep, it's all there.
Okay. Amazing. Thanks, John, for that. Okay, we have Tom Eves, who's talking about, even after reading the book carefully, this session is very good.
Hi, Tom. How you doing?
Okay. And we have Scott Taylor as well, who's joining in.
Hey, Scott, how are you today?
Hey, Scott. So, okay, going forward, there's another question coming in from Karan. What's the biggest challenge working with the team just getting started with data analytics?
Karen, there's so many, but the one that I always gravitate to is connecting with executives. You need to make sure, even Laura, as a team of one, you need to make sure that you're connecting with your manager and that manager is connecting with executives, or you're connecting with the executives, because those are the people that are going to fund your efforts. So, I always work very hard to make sure that my team, through me, is connected to the C-level executives and the senior vice presidents and executive vice presidents that we're doing work for. And you have to almost go into another persona when you're talking to that group of people, because they don't want to hear about modeling, they don't want to hear about data. What they want to hear is that they've invested money and they're going to get a return back. So while many of us as data scientists, data professionals think we're concerned about our toolkits or our data environment, the biggest challenge when you're just starting out is making sure that the organization understands who you are and what you're doing.
Definitely. I guess that should answer Karan's question. Amazing. So, also, John, I had a question which is a little not very much related to data. I know you already built that for yourself, but was there a dream business for you that you were always wanting to have, or you already have it, and that's data?
Well, I have a great job. There's no doubt about it. I really enjoy my job. And, I'm a little unusual in my career, that I've either been doing things like I'm doing now, working for a large organization, building an analytics team and doing analytics to help move the business forward. On the other hand, I've been part of technology companies helping build some of the technologies that we use every day in the analytics field. So I have enjoyed both, and I've moved back and forth through my career, and it's been really exciting. Now, if I had a dream job, which I'm hopefully working towards, I will have a nice custom built shop where I build hot rods.
Wow, this is what I wanted the world to know. I guess I had a little idea, but then yes. And also Scott Taylor agrees with you. He's like, exactly, John. They want to hear about why, not the how. And that's so
Absolutely.
true.
That is very true. I have a little story about that. I had two of my data scientists. They were just getting started on our team, really, really smart people. And one of them was going to present to a senior vice president. Another was going to present to an executive vice president. And I asked them to come into the team meeting and do the presentation for the data science team before they went and did it to the executives. And I said, look, I'm not going to the meeting with the executives. You're there on your own. So, it's your presentation. You get the glory, or you go down in flames on your own. So, they came, they did their presentations. They were very technical, very, really powerful presentations. And at the end, I said, well, who are those presentations for? And everybody sat there in that uncomfortable silence while they thought about it. And they both said, that was really for us, wasn't it? Yeah. And I said, yeah, you really proved that you are the smartest people in the room. You know math, you know data. You could really, attack a problem and solve it. I said, but the thing is that we know you're the smartest people in the room. We hired you because you're the smartest people in the room. The executives don't care. They know that. What they want to hear from you is, how are you going to change the business? Why have you come up with something that is different than what we have been doing in the past, and why is it better for us? So they went away, they redid their presentations, they came back the next week, they did it. The couple days later, they went off and did their respective presentations. I got notes from both of the executives. Your team are a bunch of rock stars. They know how to talk to me. I understood exactly what they were talking about. I wasn't befuddled by the data. I wasn't confused by the math. I could understand exactly what they were going to do for the business, and I fully support all their recommendations. So I was like, that's a win. That's exactly what we want.
Yeah, exactly. I think people, these executives look out there is for something which is more innovative, rather than they already know that you are top class in the field and that's why they have hired you. But how innovative you are, we want to know more, know about that, how you can actually turn the business to a different level. We want to know more about that rather than just putting in numbers and all of those stuff. And yeah, okay. I have an interesting question about the book from Regis. Okay. So, John, what are your favorite chapters and why? Please.
Well, that's a great question. It's a difficult one for an author. It's kind of like, who's your favorite child?
Sure.
uh, Honestly, the part that I liked the most about the book was the introduction. And I know that's a odd thing to say, but after I wrote the introduction, I think it's like 12 or 16 pages long, and it is really a synopsis of the book. And after I wrote it, I sat back and I looked at it and I got so excited because I thought, here are 10 topics that I'm really fired up about. So at that point, whenever you're writing a book, you're an author, you don't know if this thing's going to work or not. You hope it is. You think it might. But after I wrote the introduction, I really felt that I had something that I could really sink my teeth into, and that it would bring something new and interesting to the data community, which it seems like it has. If I really had to pick a chapter that I really thought was my favorite, it would either be 9 or 10. I really like the idea of being successful and moving models from development to production, and I also like talking about the future of analytics too.
Amazing. I guess that helps. Okay. We have a little generic question here from Daksh Kenvasara. How do you explain data science to a completely new person in this field? Wow.
Great question. I do talk to a lot of people that don't know anything about data science and they want to understand it better and possibly get into the field. The way I talk about it is I usually use history. I like history to inform what we do and how we go forward. I say that, back in the 50s, before many of us were born, before I was born even, there was a field called operations research, and those people were hidden in a back room, and it was really just a statistical field. Then that gave way to the business analyst, where you were actually asked to talk to people in the business and then do a little bit of business intelligence or data warehousing or dashboarding or some simple math and show them some results. Now we're actually have gone from a business analyst to a data scientist. And what is the difference? What is a data scientist? In my opinion, a data scientist is someone who owns the problem. They look at it from the data perspective. They've got to get the right data, internal and external data. They have to treat that data and clean it up and integrate it. They have to figure out the features that are sensible. They have to understand the modeling. Then they have to work with the subject matter experts and the IT teams and the executives to get those models injected into production processes that change the way business works. So we've gone from a very statistically data and math oriented to a very light analytical person to someone who is really owning a business problem. Now, you as a data scientist probably can't change the mind of the executive team to do something different, but you can certainly present to them a compelling case on why what you have done is better than what has been done in the past. Now, the levels of adoption will be different in different cases, but sorry, I won't go too far afield. I'll just stop with that answer, but that's how I generally describe who a data scientist is now.
For me, it's like when you own a problem and when you own it in terms of models and all of those stuff, so then you are a data scientist. But obviously, there's a lot more to it. So, but I guess this is better for a generic person who wants to know more about it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We see the LinkedIn user I was talking about is Kate Strackney because she's asking how long did it take you to write a book? She already knows the answer, it seems.
Yeah. Hi, Kate. Good to see you. It was a really exciting process, to tell you the truth. As I said, I started the AI book and then stopped it. So I was already in the groove of writing. And many people know already, but for those that don't, I grew up in the central part of the United States in a state called Michigan. And I grew up working on hot rods and cars with my father. And then I worked on farms for years. So if you're from a farming community, you know that days start very early, well before the sun comes up. So I'd usually be at my desk at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning, and I would write until, the day started, the business started. Then I'd have to do my day job every day. So I started writing the book on January 1st, and I finished writing the book on April 13th. So I wrote 100,000 words in just about 2.5 months. And then I was connected with the team at Pact. And I know some of the editors probably never want to work on a book again with me because I just drove the process like a maniac. I was like, not that it matters, but my birthday is on June 4th. So I really wanted to have the book published on my birthday. We missed that date. We got it published on June 30th. So I really, my goal was to start writing a book and have it published before the end of 6 months, which I did. So it was one of those things that I just said I was going to do it. So I just sat down and did it. So I don't know. That was just my experience.
Wow. No, John, one thing that I would like to clear is I'm sure that, the developer, the editorial developers love you for, getting that driving force for every one of us. And we were so excited for your book in there that, okay, John Thompson is someone who's just getting the book like bam, 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 and it's done. It's like 2.5 months. Obviously, it's not a very big time, but then the book was huge and went well, luckily. So great stuff, John.
Yeah, no, I think there were a few times when the editors were really not happy because they'd send it back to me and I'd turn it around in a day and I'm like, all right, send me another chapter. And they're like, we can't go that fast.
But it's so cool. Okay, in terms of about the book itself, we have Matthew Emmerich. He asks, how did you handle the commitment to writing the book versus all the other commitments?
Well, thank you, Matthew. Good to see you. Yeah, glad to see the results up in Michigan. Yeah, how did I handle that? I'm as I said, I'm a little older, so my wife and I's children are 23 and 21, so they don't really need us on a daily basis. It's not like we have to make their food or take them to school or anything. They're out of the house. My wife has her own business, and my day job, is pretty much, it's a great job. But I don't have to work all night and all day and all weekend on it, which is nice. There's a good work-life balance there. So, when I get something in my head that I'm going to do it, I'm just focused. So, I did my day job like I was supposed to, and I was a good employee there. And then every morning I just got up and wrote. I think there's a quote from Virginia Woolf, who's a famous author, who said, to be a writer is to write. So every day, there wasn't a day in that time from January to April that I did not write. There's some days that I didn't write much. I wrote a page or two and I just couldn't get into it. But I told myself I was going to write every day. And I wrote, as I said, from very early in the morning until, the middle of the day, or not the middle of the day, to the beginning of the work day. And I was just committed to it. That's all. So it was just one of those things that, and my wife was certainly not getting up at 3 a.m. That's for sure. She loves to sleep in. So it was very quiet, at those times. So I just get up here at my desk here in my office and just go for it.
Wow, this is so cool. So obviously it still needs that commitment, obviously getting up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and it has obviously paid off. And there are many people who are actually talking about the book as well. So
Lots of Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew, yes. Amit Rajit Roy. The best part of the book is the keynotes at the end of every chapter, John Thompson. I agree completely.
I'm glad that's a draw. I really took a lot of time to write those, and I just didn't know if anybody would pay attention. One of the other the parts of the book I really liked was the quotes that I selected for the beginning of each chapter. That's always fun for me too, is to find those quotes that are interesting and relevant to the people, to the readers.
Yes, exactly. Then there's Tina. That is actually a really good time frame within which a book can be published. Amazing commitment.
Hey, Tina, I just wanted to say thank you for that comment, and I love your content on LinkedIn. I actually learn a lot from what Tina posts. She does some really cool stuff. If you guys that are on this LinkedIn Live event are not connected or following her, please do. She does some really, really intriguing way to position how to learn about math and different topics. She's great.
Okay, following you, Tina. I agree because I know she's been there out there doing some amazing, great job. So always there. Yeah. Okay. Then there's Mewa. Thanks, John. Great insights, great mind. You're a great person.
I don't think that's a question, but thank you.
Yes.
Very kind of you. I truly appreciate it.
Okay. So, John, we spoke about the book. We spoke about what you've done in the past. What about future? What's like? How does next 1 year look like? What are the new ventures coming in? What are the new business ideas? How does it look like?
Yeah, the new year's looking really intriguing. The world has changed a lot over the last 9 months with COVID, which is just a terrible, terrible pandemic and situation. And my heart goes out to any families affected by that. I have been thinking about writing the next book on data and the future of data. I've written a couple books on analytics, which I've truly enjoyed. I think the next book is going to be about our relationship as individuals with data and the use of data on a societal and corporate level. So that's what I've been banging around. That's what I've been talking to Dominic about. Dominic Shakeshaft, the acquisitions editor at Pact. And I've been talking to a few different people about the idea, some of the thought leaders in the book, some of the thought leaders in the market that you all know. I've shared a stage with a few of them, and they said, yeah, that's an interesting idea. So with those people saying it's an interesting idea, I might actually collaborate with one or two of them on the book, or I may just do another, crazy John Thompson and just sit down and write it in a couple months. So we'll see.
John, I'm just wondering, for you, a book is just 2 months. I'm wondering the whole next year, how does it go? Because it will be just 2 months, and after that, I'll be, inviting you to the show again, and then we'll be talking about next 1 year again, and that's where we would be. But then, yeah, obviously, if it's happening with Pact, I'm very happy. I'm looking forward to it, and yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, so that's on the book side. The rest of the year, I think there's some really intriguing stuff going on in just the general society around the world around data and analytics. I've been getting calls from chief data officers, chief analytic officers. I got a call the other day from a Fortune 50 organization, a chief data officer, wanting to sit down and talk about, what they could do with data, how they could do even more with data. I teach a graduate level class on AI leadership. So I'll probably teach another class or two. And then I've actually been approached by one of the Big Ten universities about turning the book into a class. So I'll probably do that as well. And then keynote speaking and some other things that I'll be doing. But I think that we are really getting into a point now where the majority of companies around the world are really understanding the value of data and analytics and are now trying to take action to really do something with it. So I think I'm going to be very, very busy in the next year.
Sounds like a plan, John. That's like too much. But speaking of keynote speaking, actually, what I was wondering was I had a question around the conferences because obviously I saw you at the Data Cater conference, which was hosted by Kate Strachny. But then, are you fond of conferences? How often do you visit there? And do you actually think that they are, a place people should visit and they can gain a lot of information out of it?
Yeah, clearly the conference world has changed a lot in the last 9 months. Kate's dedicated conference was just amazing. And again, another pitch. If you're not following Kate Strachny, please do. I think she's the only person that does more than I do in the data world. She's amazing. I every time I get to talk to her, I'm just so happy. Yeah, I think conferences are great. The virtual format works pretty well. I think we're all getting used to that. I think that at some point we will get post-COVID and we'll go back to having physical conferences where we all get together and meet and talk. But I have to say that some of the benefit of this virtual world is that I do speak at a fair number of events, and I do it all here from my desk. I mean, think about it, Ravit. When was the last time you and I were in the same place? Well, the answer is never. And could we do this face to face? Sure, that would be great. That would be wonderful. I'd love to do it. I'd love to come to Mumbai. I've never been to India, but that really puts up a lot of barriers. One of us has got to get on a plane. We got to get a venue. We got to organize and bring all the people together. I don't know what's going to happen for the events industry. It's probably forever changed at this point, but I do encourage people to attend as many virtual events as they can. We get a lot of questions. Obviously, people can interact with you and I and everybody in the events and have a dialogue, about what they're interested in. So I'm a big fan of the virtual format. I think it's really working out for us. It's a different way, and I am looking forward to physical events. But yeah, go to as many as you can, as many that make sense.
Amazing. That's. I guess I have a similar approach when we talk about conferences, because it's like you don't have to travel that much. You can visit any part of the world. You can meet anyone. You can go about and talk to anyone out there. So yeah, it's always a win-win when it's about virtual conferences. Okay, speaking about Kate, we had a message from her. I don't know why it shows LinkedIn, but I'm sure it's her. It's dedicated, which means dedicated to data, and we all are dedicated to data. Where's Rock? Thanks, Kate. There's Scott, which is like, I'm dedicated. Then there's Raymond. Then there's Matthew, who says obviously recommends her. So everyone's out there. Kate, we are fond of your stuff, about whatever you share, about your data, everything. So okay, I was looking out for a question.
I'm going to get a Kate T-shirt is what I'm going to get. I'm just going to wear it to all my events.
Superb. Wrapping up everything, John, I had one or two questions more. One was about the favorite books that you have. Like, which are your favorite books, and which are your personal own favorite books that you think? I know that's very difficult. You'll be like, each book is different and each book is special to me, but then still. First question: which are your three favorite books, and you would actually recommend to everyone out there?
I've got a few books on the corner of my desk that I'm reading right now. One it's a pretty serious book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. His experience in the concentration camps of World War II. Not a very happy book, but something that really gives you a perspective on life and where you should be focused. Another is a little bit lighter. It's called String Theory. It's about playing tennis. My wife gave me another book called The Inner Game of Tennis, which is about the mindset of competing and those kind of things. And I find that to be, really interesting and a fun book. And then my wife also gave me another book called Think Like a Rocket Scientist, which is kind of fun.
Wow, amazing. I guess, John, what I'll do is I'll pick those names from you later and I'll put it in the chat for people
Sure.
to, just there and, if they want to purchase that book. But one question from YouTube, which I think is important in terms of what is the most challenge that an analytics team face, in your opinion?
Thanks, Daniel. Really appreciate the question. I think one of the biggest challenges that a data science team faces is being able to balance, their workload, being able to make sure that they're fully engaged. If anybody else has heard me speak or heard me talk before, that, I'm a big believer that data scientists need to have a great sense of autonomy and self-determination in what they do on a daily basis. So I talk about the personal project portfolio in the book, and I allow my data scientists to have a portfolio of projects that they manage themselves. Now, they're accountable and responsible for getting everything done on time and within budget, but I don't really sit there and micromanage anybody. That's not my view whatsoever. So I think the biggest challenge is to be able to build a team that has the ability to have a very strong sense of accountability and responsibility, and at the same time, be very collaborative. All those people need to come together on our weekly meetings and show their work and have their team members look at it and make suggestions and critiques and help them over, difficult problems and help them see where they might be going down a blind alley or where they could be using a different approach or using different data in a different way. So I think it's a combination of having autonomy and enough work that you can, move your focus around to be productive, because as I've said many times, data scientists have what I like to call a Ferrari brain. They're going very fast. They need lots of things to time slice between and keep them engaged, but also collaborative and engaged in a community perspective. I think that's the biggest challenge around a data science team.
I hope that should actually answer Daniel's question. Definitely. But we've been talking about Kate all the time. We've been talking about dedicated, how dedicated we are in terms of, data. So I thought, John, we should actually have a surprise for everyone. Why not just have it? Hey, Kate.
I don't know what happened, but here I am. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Kate.
Nice to have you.
Thanks for bringing me in, Ravit. I was watching your live, and Ravit's like, "Hey, do you want to join for a minute?" So I'm just here to say hello. Hi, John.
Great. Hi, Kate. How are you?
Good. How are you? I was looking for your book, but he gave me like 10 seconds. I couldn't find it. It's in my closet.
That's fine. Can you send me a shirt with a big picture of your face on it so I can wear it everywhere?
I mean, obviously, that's one thing that that's one of my goals. It'll be a picture of me holding your book.
Yeah, so, exactly. I was playing tennis the other day, and I was wearing my dedicated shirt, and a couple people came up to me and said, "What's that mean? What's that mean?" So I was pitching dedicated on the tennis court.
Oh my God, thank you. Yeah, I went for a bike ride once. It was like my 50-mile bike ride, and this girl came up to me and she's like, "What's dedicated mean?" And then I told her, I'm like, "Oh, dedicated to data." And she's like, "Oh, I'm in data." So we actually had a great conversation. It caught her attention. So dedicated is a thing now.
It's a beautiful thing.
Data, when is the next conference coming up, Kate?
Okay, take me off the show.
Yeah, Ravit, you just finished one.
It might actually happen sooner than planned. Let's see what happens, but definitely first quarter of next year. So
cool.
Wow.
So I'm going to get you on camera that I'm going to be in that conference, right?
John, you have to be in that conference, of course. So yeah, it was great to have you in the session. You're still getting great feedback. I'm getting great feedback on your session. So
that's great.
Start passing some of those along. I had a form that I asked people to fill out. Not sure if you guys saw. There's still a pie chart. It's still at 100% of people who would like to return for another conference.
I saw that.
Yeah,
cool.
It's still at 100. I'm waiting for somebody to say no, just so I can say why. What happened?
As Matthew said, no rest for Kate.
Matthew, I know what you feel like now. So at some point I had Steve Miller, Uncopyable guy, author of Uncopyable, on the show, and Matthew had written a review, Matthew Emmerich, and I brought him on the show really unexpectedly. So now I know what it feels like. Thanks, Ravit.
Nice to have you, Kate. Always, it's fun talking to you, and the dedication that you're showing to the world about data. We all are dedicated. It's not just these people in the audience, but we all are dedicated, truly.
Yes, awesome. Well, thanks for popping me in. I guess I'll let you guys wrap things up now.
Thanks, Kate.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right. So, John, it's hard for me to let you go from here, but then here the show is just comes. We need to wrap it up in terms of obviously not before announcing the winners. So what do you think? I know there were many questions. All questions were amazing, but what do you think? You can pick 3 right now, or you want to announce it later? How does it work?
I'm gonna pick them. I want to go with. Wow, there's a lot of comments here. I haven't gotten down to the one. I want to go with Laura Richter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Laura my first pick as well.
I want to go. We didn't answer it, but I want to go with Niraj Satpal.
Neeraj Satpal. Ooh, okay.
And Karan Ambashed.
Ambashed. Right. Karan was there. Did I miss Neeraj's question? I don't think I can let that go without asking you about it.
Well, I read it and
No,
I'm like, oh, it's a really good question. Yeah,
it's yours.
it's quite a few people do have the title data scientist, but their works as data analyst. Yeah, it is an issue for some. Some people do get quite upset about it. You know, when I started out at CSL a couple of years ago, I did a listening tour around the world. And when I came back, I had met a few hundred people. And when I came back, they asked me, they said, how many people do you think are doing work that's related to being a data scientist? And I said it was about 80. So they had titles like research scientist, and they had title as business analyst and things like that. So it's not really a problem. I mean, some people have an ego issue with their title, so that could be an issue. But there's lots of people out there doing work with data and analytics who are not called data scientists. So, you know, it's really up to you how you feel about it.
Wow, really amazing question. Thanks, John, to keep a tap on those questions. And this is how it works, guys. You can ask questions, and John is smart enough to always have a look at those questions and keep that tap going. But congratulations, Laura, Karan, and Neeraj Satpal for asking some great questions, and everyone for joining in. This was super amazing, John. And thank you for being on the show and sharing some amazing insights, because I can go on forever with you. You know it very well.
Yeah.
I can act, yeah, but then here
Well,
it was.
the people on the show don't know that we talked for 20 minutes before the show started.
Exactly. That's how we start off. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you, John, for amazing stuff. We have Laura who's like, hooray, thank you. So everyone's happy. All the wrap up. Raymond says, learned a lot from John Thompson today. Thank you for joining, Suzanne.
Thanks, Suzanne. Always great to see you.
Okay, so bye everyone. Thank you.
Bye, Ravit. Thank you.
Bye, John.